mic this time, so hopefully the audio is better, but the cable's kind of short, so it's not inside my sweater. So I wanted to share with you guys why I actually came back to Toronto, and this is part of my brand new series, which is really just my life, of being really clear every time I feel like I should do something, and then every time I feel like my heart is telling me to do something instead. So I actually have other videos that I've recorded before answering some of the questions that people have asked me, but those are kind of like tip style videos, and I feel like there's plenty of those on YouTube, and what I can bring to the table and what will be most inspiring and helpful and joy-filled for all of us is if I just naturally share with you guys my journey. So for any of you who followed me on Periscope, you'll recognize this wall map, and if you look at super old videos on my YouTube channel, you'll see this wall map as well. I am back in the room where a lot of this began, in my parents' house in Toronto. This is actually my first time back here in 13 months. I was out of the country from December 2015 until January 2017. In that journey, I shared a lot of that with you guys on social media. I lived in Hawaii, I lived in the UK, I worked and volunteered in refugee camps. We did so much, and I've spent a lot of time and energy coming to a loving and harmonious relationship with my parents. But that has been the journey, which I want to share some insights from that journey with you guys today, because it's the big reason why I came back to Toronto. When I first started in the online space, I wrote a lot about travel and networking and how to find jobs doing what it is that you love. I got into meditation on Periscope and leading guided meditations. I built a family and a community of people who all wanted to learn meditation too, and so every day we would meditate together while I live streamed it and did a guided meditation. The thing though is that I was doing all of this while I was at my parents' house, and they have a Christian background and they didn't quite vibe with meditation or understand it. In fact, they actually felt like it was really ungodlike and unspiritual, and they felt like it conflicted with what they believe in. Now, deep in my heart, I knew that it was the same thing. Perhaps I used different words for it, but I still use words like love and light, and that is a lot of what Jesus and the Bible talks about as well. This video isn't supposed to be a spiritual, philosophical discussion. I can do a whole other video on that. In my heart, I just knew that we were really saying the same thing, and we couldn't quite come to understand it at this time. And this is fall, winter of 2015. Here I am at my parents' house, doing meditation and teaching people meditation, and meanwhile it was becoming clearer and clearer to my parents, and they really didn't like it. And so it got to a point where it was just like, I always knew that my parents are my teachers in this lifetime, right? We choose our parents so that they can help us become the people that we're meant to be. I spent these 13 months away, and it wasn't like an attempt to run away. It was really just, I felt like we'd hit the end of the road for now, and I needed to give my parents space so that they could just understand that I'm okay and that I'm a good person and that the work I'm doing in the world is valid as well. I knew that part of their anxiety and part of their discontent about me doing meditation was, first of all, I had chosen to be an entrepreneur, or I had chosen to be a creator and to do my own thing in the world. So that means I wasn't showing up to a job. You know, every day I worked from home for the most part, and my dad often worked from home, so they saw me at home a lot, and it wasn't like I was a millionaire, you know, online marketer right out of the gate. So I didn't quite have the financial proof to show them that, like, look, this is working out. So I already knew they had some anxiety and fear around that. The cherry on top was that their daughter was doing meditation, which they didn't believe in, and they didn't understand it the same way I did, and they didn't see how it could help people. So I knew it was time to leave them, give them some space, and for me to have this space as well, because to have that pressure of feeling like I needed to censor what content I created and put out into the world wasn't helpful for me either. There were also times where my parents wanted to just say to me, like, why can't you just teach something else? Why can't you just keep teaching people how to find jobs they like? Why can't you be like a food blogger? Why do you have to do meditation out of all things? But for me, it was a soul calling. It was something that I felt in my heart, that I knew that meditation was helping people. And you guys on Periscope were giving me so much feedback that it was helping. So from a soul place, I just knew this is what I meant to share right now. Does it mean I'm going to be sharing meditation for the next 20 years? I don't know. Maybe not. My responsibility in this life as a creator is not just to create things because I think they're going to make a lot of money. It's to create the things that my heart compels me to put out into the world, because that's actually what's going to help people. I ended up in December 29th, 2015, packing my life up into one suitcase, one backpack, and one handbag. I jumped on a bus to New York City, and so started off my journey with a 15-day road trip across America. I think I visited 9 cities, all staying in the homes of people that had followed me and who I had connected with on Periscope. So that was how I started 2016, with this incredible adventure and this journey. And over the past year, I've done so many incredible things. So around fall 2016, a couple months ago, I was starting to feel like I knew that at some point or another, I'd have to go back to Toronto and make more peace with my parents. Because if what I'm really here to do, and the bigger message that I'm here to share, is for all of us to live the fullest expression of who we are, and to be brave enough to be the love and be the light in the world, and to be our authentic selves, the energy of being someone who is doesn't have a positive story with their parents, right? Like when you meet people and you hear them talk about their parents, you always know whether they have a good relationship or if they've got some anger, bitterness, and resentment towards their parents. When people would ask me, oh, what do your parents think of this? The thing that would come out of my mouth is that, my parents don't really get me, but they will eventually. And at its worst, it was like my parents don't understand me at all. They don't like what I'm doing. I just have to do my own thing in the world. That was like the worst story, right? It was like almost angry at my parents. The middle story was like, oh, they don't really get me right now, but I'm still doing it anyway. But the higher and more loving versions of that story are the ones where we hear people say them. It's like, I'm really grateful I have supportive parents. I'm really grateful I have parents who love me and who get me. And I knew that at the highest level of love that I could be, that's the kind of relationship I would have with my parents. Not this one that was like half supportive but half doubting. So I knew I had to go back to Toronto to resolve that. And one of the best things I could do was just to develop myself and grow myself and find the peace and the wisdom within myself, so that when I go to them, I come, even though on the outside I still might look like their daughter and I still look like a person, I come to them from a much more centered place and from a much more loving place, and they can feel that. Because vibes are real, everyone can feel them. We can feel when someone's angry at us, and we can feel when someone's compassionate. So I knew that it would be important to go back to my parents and to just show them who I've become. Part of my role is to continue to live the life that I do and share that with you guys online, and live and explore all of these conscious communities and alternative lifestyles. I know that part of my work is to be out into the world, but my parents are still here in Toronto. So at some point or another, I've got to come back and visit them. Not because they need me to visit them, but because I need to reach that state of even higher compassion, even more love in the world. It also dawned on me that there are people who don't have parents. Some people end up being orphans, or some people have even more disjointed families. And so for those people, if they really have no connection to their family and they never go back to visit their family, it doesn't matter. However, I have a family that is pretty rooted. Everyone else other than me lives in the Toronto area, has a job, and does that thing. So by all accounts, I have a very happy, stable family, and I shouldn't be complaining and telling people the story of I don't have supportive parents, because 5 years down the line, if you're still following my journey and the story, I want you to be able to say that you have supportive parents as well, because that's a story that we can create. Right? It's not about what my parents do, it's about what I do. So I knew I needed to come back, and things started falling into place. While I was here, I made a really conscious effort to spend time with my family. Cook a lot of dinners for them. My parents usually have Mondays off, so instead of working on Mondays, which is what we in the Western world typically do, I would purposely not work and spend time with them, which is actually more difficult than it sounds. I had a lot of discussions with them. I had the hard conversations, which was telling them I knew I had to tell them what exactly I do for a living. If you had asked me a year or a year and a half ago what I do, it would have been kind of hard to explain because I was still figuring it out. But now I was actually able to tell them, this is what I do for a living. These are the kind of projects I've done in the past. And also, at least the fact that I've spent a year away from home, out of my parents' house, doing something, and was able to support myself. I never asked my parents for money, and figured it out myself all along the way. So I told them what I was doing career-wise. I told them what meditation really meant to me, and I really addressed their fears, because I knew they always had these fears, but they didn't want to bring it up to me. And in the past, when they did bring it up, I would start crying and freaking out, and they would get really upset, so it wasn't a peaceful resolution. So when I came back, I knew I had to talk to them about meditation. But I also got a chance to explain to them really calmly why I teach meditation from time to time and how it helps people. And I was able to explain it in a very secular way. So not in a sense of like super spiritual, connecting to the divine or anything like that, but just like even a lot of CEOs, people who are athletes, high-level performers. Meditation is often a part of those people's lives because it helps us with focus, with concentration, with creativity. I'm really glad that I did it, because even though to the outside world, spending time with your family, it doesn't make you money. For some people, it doesn't even make you happier to spend time with your family. If you're anything like me, you've actually had to go through the process of disconnecting yourself from your family in order to find your authentic truth. That was my journey, and so to reconnect with my family in a space where it's not like they understand everything that I'm doing. It's not like they get to fully control what content I put out or anything like that. Now I'm at a place where I really feel like I have peace with them, and I know that I can figure it out, right? It's not like I check the family box off now, you know, harmony with parents, harmony with family, check, and I'm done for the rest of my life. Right? Family, the souls that incarnated into this world to be your family, they came here to be lifelong teachers, and you came into their life to be lifelong teachers as well. So I know definitely the more content I put out, the more there's going to be more chances for me to make even more, to work for even more harmony and even more peace in my relationship with my parents. And I'm cool with that, because now I'm at a place where like I did it. I faced the thing that I was really afraid of. I actually confronted my parents with love in my heart, and I was able to create peace. If any of you guys are going through situations like this, where maybe you want to do something in life, but your parents don't want you to do something, and you're like, how can I do this? Because I fully understand it. It's like there's something in your heart you feel like you're really meant to do, and then here are your parents, the people who are supposed to love you and support you the most, telling you that you can't do it. A thing that helped me a lot was a book that I just found at like the most perfect time. Whatever Arises, Love That by Matt Kahn. It's got chapters on conscious communication, on listening, because that's a big part, actually, just learning to listen to your parents. I had to learn that, and I had to do it. So that helped me a lot, and I wrote love letters to my parents. I've been writing them for probably 2 or 3 years. Most of the time I wouldn't give them to my parents. Sometimes I would. But these love letters were not for them. They were really for me to reorganize my understanding. And about a year or year and a half ago, I actually published a video called What to Do If You Don't Have Parents Who Approve of You Yet. And I'll link it below. You can watch that as well. If you watch that, hopefully you can see that my energy is different, because even then I was still going through it. Like I was still at my parents with this small map, and I hadn't gone on the year-long journey I've just been on. I knew what to do even then though, and it was just a matter of doing it and bringing it out into the world. And so now I've done it, and I highly recommend that you go through this process, especially if you have family that you feel like there's something that you need to resolve around. It can be easy and oftentimes even acceptable in society for us to just push it under the rug and not deal with it. But it's important to our growth to learn how to crack our hearts open and embrace even the ones that scare us, right? Even the ones who perhaps don't love us back. Because that's how we're really able to activate our fullest power and potential in this life. I hope that gave you guys a little bit more insight into how to deal with people who don't necessarily support you. If you want to know more about this, please do let me know. I can do another video and dive a lot more nitty-gritty into how I was able to create harmony with my parents and continue to do what it is that I love and what it is that's in my heart, even if they don't fully understand. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you loads. Oh, and by the way, other things I did while I was here, I just took my time. I celebrated my birthday. I went to yoga. I'm really big on allowing myself now to soak in every experience that life gives me. Because sometimes we're like, this experience is sucky and I want to create something better. No, every experience is amazing and there's gold that you can find in it. So I really also just embraced life and spent a lot of time with family. And I was like, you know what? I might as well just embrace this family because this is a family that I have, and every single person in my family is my teacher. And they help me to grow and to be a better person and to learn things like compassion and empathy that perhaps I wouldn't learn if they weren't in my life. Love you guys so much. If you enjoyed this, please do subscribe for more. And let me know if there's other things that you want to hear more about. Lots of love, and I will see you soon. Mwah!